I conquered my stutter, started an online business at 17, got accepted into one of the best business schools in Europe, and spent 1 year abroad in London. Hello friends, my name is Victor, I'm 20 years old, and this is how much my life changed after putting into action the Fluent and Fit method for the last 3 years. And in this video, we're going to discuss exactly what end goals you should have for your own journey with this method. And if you don't know what any of this is, I am building a playlist of videos explaining exactly how I conquered my own stutter with this method. And you can check it out in the link in the description to catch up. And if you want to meet other people on the exact same journey as you, network, meet in real life, and share experiences, well, I just launched a new school community which may be just right up to your alley. Click the link in the description to find out more. This video is going to be divided into 4 parts. The first 2 are the fluency goal and the fitness goal. Shocking, right? The next 2 are about fluency shaping techniques, whether or not to use them, and when to actually stop doing the speech exercises. Firstly, fluency. But what does it actually mean to be fluent? Well, I have to say, for starters, that being fluent is not 100% stutter-free. And sorry to disappoint, there is no such thing as being 100% fluent, okay? Because being fluent, completely fluent, is taking something to the extreme, right? And we can't find one person who, throughout the whole of his life, he hasn't made a mistake with his speech. Maybe he mispronounced something. Everybody has mistakes, and you have to realize that when you're tired, when you're sad, when you're a bit overworked, when you're annoyed, when you're sick, there's so many different conditions that will lead you to have a less than perfect fluency level. So I want you to understand that having a stutter and working towards it, right? Your end goal should not be to be 100% fluent, because every little mistake that you find throughout your whole day that you see and maybe you perceive, maybe you blocked one time during breakfast, maybe you had a little bit of hesitation, right? If you focus on the mistakes, they are gonna bring you down. They're gonna make you think that all the progress was for nothing, and they're gonna make you quit. But the practical way of looking at this is simple. Being fluent means that you don't ever change your behavior because of the fact that you have a stutter. So, fitness. You might be asking yourself, fitness in a speech improvement program? Why is that? Here. Well, fitness is an important part of this method, as you know from the name, as it's the thing that will keep you motivated to go forward. So, in practical terms, the fitness goal is to have a body that makes you happy. I'm not going to go into detail like, oh, you should have this amount of muscle mass and this amount of progress. It's different for everybody, right? So the goal here is that you should be working towards a fitness goal that you would want to achieve at the same time that you're working on your fluency goal. Why is that so? Well, we're gonna go up a ladder of motivation. So while you're working on the fluency goal, which takes a lot of time, and in the beginning you don't see any progress, at the same time you're working on your fitness goal. And in fitness, there's a phase called noob gains. That's right at the beginning. That gives you a big boost of progress, a big amount of progress in a short amount of time. And then it levels off afterwards. Basically, by starting both habits, the fluency and the fitness, you're gonna be jumping from one win in one criteria to another win in another criteria, and you're gonna be building up that motivation up, and that's gonna keep you motivated for a long time. That's what you need really to conquer your stutter. There's no easy fixes, and fitness is a big key part of that. And for our next section, speech techniques. So firstly, what are speech techniques? Well, they are perceived to be a way to disguise your stutter or to make it easy to talk by modifying your normal way of speaking to achieve that result. These are the so-called fluency-shaping techniques or speech techniques. I have a lot of experience with them. They get recommended a lot in speech improvement communities, online, and whatnot. And so how many does this method offer? 0. Why is that? Well, I have found that speech techniques are basically the easy temporary fix for a long-term hard problem. And because I don't want to disappoint any of you watching, I don't offer any temporary fixes. My way is permanent, but takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. I'm gonna be frank, that's what it takes. And so, speech techniques. I have tried a bunch when I was working towards conquering my own stutter, and I never had any success with them. Honestly, it was just, they were inconvenient. You had to think to use them. They modified your speech in a way that didn't make you sound you. And so I just did not want to use them because for me, they were useless. And now that I have some experience working with clients, speaking to a lot of people with the same problem, I found that they generally share the same experience. Yes, it feels good in the first day, first 3 days, first week, but it always has a temporary duration. It's never permanent. And that's why I generally say avoid them. Now, if you want to experiment, that's fine, but you just have to keep in mind, there's 2 criteria. First, they have to make you sound good to you. They don't have to make you change your way of speaking so much, right? That you don't feel like yourself. And second, they have to be really easy to apply. I can tell you about one story. There was one kid that I was speaking to in Discord, which had this speech technique of avoiding blocks by saying before that feared word that he may experience. And I talked to him in voice channel, and he used that technique a lot. And then I transitioned to a chat channel, and there he again used that technique. Like, he again typed in after each word that was hard for him to pronounce. And that really made me think, oh, this is what it might lead a person to act like if they rely too much on a technique that doesn't feel natural to them. So all in all, I would say avoid them and experiment if you want, or don't. In my method, you won't find any speech techniques that are recommended by me. And the final section, which is, when do I stop doing this? Because I have said multiple times that this takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy for months, years. It took me 2 years, actually, in my own case. And so when would you stop? Because you don't want to stop before it's really a permanent solution, right? So how would you gauge that? Well, in this method, you're gonna see that there's a lot of habits that you're gonna track. Speech therapy and speech exercises is one of them. And the other 2 are social exposure and getting new names. I'm gonna get into more detail in a later part of this course. And so how would you like when would you stop? Well, when you forget to track them. Because in the beginning, there's a very strict regime. Every time you do a habit, you track it, you note it down somewhere, you track progress. That's really important. Tracking progress makes you see that little wins stack up over time. But then in the later stages, you start to forget to track. Why? Because it has formed a deep automatic habit. That's what we need. You may not think that this is possible now, but in the future you will forget, and it won't be noteworthy for you to go up to a person and just break the ice with them, or to admit to a person that you have a stutter, or to any of those hard things that you feel like are impossible for you right now. And so when that happens, you never really stop with the social exposure habits, because they're going to be a part of who you are from now on. As I said, automatic habits, that's a good thing. But when you stop tracking those two exercises, that's the moment I feel like you should stop tracking the speech exercise. You should stop doing the routine every day of daily speech training exercises that improve the muscles in your speech apparatus. That's the point when you should stop. And just like that, reach the end of part 3 of the Fluent and Fit method. To recap, the end goal of the Fluent and Fit method across the 4 categories is being the best speaker possible, which doesn't mean being 100% error-free. It means that you don't consider your speech as an important factor in your day-to-day life. Second, get you fit. That just means happy with the way you look. Thirdly, it does not come with any speech fluency shaping techniques, but you can experiment if you want. And fourth, it does all of that by automatic habits that become a part of who you are. And when that happens, you generally feel like your life is effortless right now. And that's the point where you also stop the speech exercises, which are the only thing basically that's left. And in the end, you continue living your life without having a constant burden of stuttering, just the way you are. We haven't changed anything about you. We just build good habits, and you don't have to do any thinking from now on about your speech anyway. And if you made it this far, I'm sure that you would like my new community that I'm building. It's about people like us. So come join and be one of the founding members, if you're watching this at the time of upload anyway. So see you there. Bye-bye.